All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host for this morning's session, Benny Allen, and I'm definitely happy and grateful for each and every one of you being here with us this morning as we take a look at the technicals and the fundamentals to see what we can take advantage of in the Forex market as we look to close out the week. So, without further ado, let's make sure that we turn off any and all distractions, grab a pen and paper, take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. If you can hear me loud and clear, drop me a one in the chat. Let me know my sound is good. And we are all ready to go for this morning's session. All right. Uh, okay. So, all right. Appreciate it, Kay. Good morning to you. So let's make sure that we start this morning, right, by taking massive action. That's the keto for the Forex trade room. Let's make sure that we are accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing you for any outcome. Let's make sure that we center ourselves in body, mind, and spirit, assuring a balanced approach to trading. Let's trust in our education, strategy, trading skills, and intuition. Let's imagine our trade successfully materializing, that we are always obeying our trading strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed or fear. And let's make sure that we are never looking back or stopping once our trade has commenced. So with that being said, let's jump out, take a look at what we have as far as the Forex factory. So just going back yesterday, we know that we were looking for retail sales data coming out of the United States. So the major news of the day was, right, the retail sales came in month over month, well above expectations. Core CPI, core retail sales came in above expectations as well. We saw the stock market continue to put in its rally as a result of those numbers, right? So they kind of, when you get a retail sales number like that, they kind of you know, quiets the recession fears, right? At least for now. And then your unemployment claims number came in better than expected as well. They were forecasting 236,000, came in at 227,000. So good day yesterday. Um, what else? Governor Bullock spoke for Australia, for the Reserve Bank of Australia last night. And from trading economics, we could see that the Aussie is firm. So the Aussie dollar held above 66, marching toward 3-week highs, as Reserve Bank of Australia Governor Michelle Bullock said that despite signs of easing inflation, it was still premature to consider cutting interest rates. She warned that inflation remains too high and is not expected to return to the central bank's 2 to 3% target until the end of next year. Last week, the RBA kept its rates unchanged at 4.35% for the sixth straight meeting amid a resilient economy and persistent inflationary risk. The position stood in contrast with other major central banks, with the Reserve Bank of New Zealand surprising the markets with a 25 basis point cut in August, right? So the Aussie is still holding firm to the upside. Covered that yesterday. We'll take a look back at it as a result of the rhetoric coming out of the Reserve Bank of Australia. We see here that copper rises on supply risk, and that oil set for a second weekly gain, which is good. European stocks rise on U.S. optimism. Okay, so that what happens in the U.S. impacts the world, right? And then Swiss industrial output rebounds to over 2-year high. Okay, so moving over to the DXY, it says that the dollar index traded around 103 on Friday after gaining 0.5% in the previous session, underpinned by better than expected U.S. economic data, which suggested that recession fears were overblown. So just again, retail sales in the United States rose by 1% from the previous month of July, well above market expectations of 0.3% amid robust consumption. And then again, unemployment claims fell for the second straight week, alleviating labor market concerns. But the dollar remained under pressure from softer than anticipated U.S. inflation data for July. The markets are convinced that the Federal Reserve, will start cutting rates in September, but they're still divided on whether they're going to do 25 or 50 basis points, right? So we've been following that really, really close. All right. So that's that on the fundamentals so far. Any questions regarding the fundamentals? No? Also, wanted to make sure, right? So front page here, I can't overlook that because we did have retail sales for the UK, and we can see here that retail sales rebounded as expected. Okay, so it rose 0.5% month over month in July 2024, following a downwardly revised 0.9% decline in June, and aligning with market expectations. Sales at non-food stores increased by 1.4%, particularly in department stores and sports equipment stores driven by summer discounting and sporting events. Additionally, non-store retail trade rose by 0.7%, mainly due to a rebound from retailers such as stalls, markets, vending machines, and door-to-door sales. In contrast, trade at food stores stalled, while automotive fuel sales fell by 1.9% after a prior 2.2% increase. Considering 3 months to July, retail retail trade went up 1.1%. On a yearly basis, retail sales jumped 1.4%, recovering from a revised 0.3% decline in the previous period and matching market expectations, right? So decent data, right? Coming out of the UK in regards to retail sales, just like here in the United States. So that is good, right? Like I said, trying to quiet those recessionary fears. Okay, so that's that. If we don't have any questions regarding the fundamentals, right? Anything else today? I know the UK data was the biggest thing today, but we do have preliminary University of Michigan consumer sentiment data and inflation expectations. So we'll see, especially when it comes to consumer sentiment, what we get from that. So that could create some volatility today in the market, depending on how those numbers come through. Moving over to the DXY again, right? We're seeing, right, we got a little push to the upside yesterday, but we can see that downward pressure is being put on the dollar early this morning out the gate. This is going to continue to remain under pressure with the interest rate decision looming, and people continue to speculate on what that cut is going to look like in September, whether it's going to be 25 or 50 basis points, right? So that's the question now. So everybody's thinking definitely a rate cut. How big of a cut is it going to be on the DXY? So still facing, right? Nice rebound yesterday, but now this morning facing some downward pressure. So we'll see, right? If this is a small correction and then we get another push to the upside, or if this is going to turn completely over. We'll see what happens throughout the day today. Any questions on the DXY? No. All right. Moving on over, right? Appreciate it, sir. Moving on over, taking a look at the quant box data, right? So we see that we went from being way risk off to now, right? We're a bit mixed, pretty much risk on, right? Looking at the assets that are moving, pretty much risk on. That's the daily bias, right? So what's going on today, right? Coming out the gate a little bit mixed, but overall, right, trending, right, in regards to sentiment, risk on right now, right? Especially after the retail sales data yesterday, right? Taking a look at the heat map, right? And it kind of backs up, right? What we're just talking about in regards to that risk on, risk off. Look at what's running, right? The Nikkei, right? The Nasdaq, the Russell, the Dow, copper, right? That's a supply issue. S&P 500, the DAX, everything is up. Look at your Aussies. Look at gold. Look at your pound rally. Putting in some rallies, right? So we are looking pretty much risk on right now. Oil still right? Deemed as bullish right now. Euro USD. Look at the Aussie again, right? So pretty clear picture that we are moving right to where we are clearly in that risk on type of situation. Right? Okay. So that's that. So moving over any pairs that we want to take a look at to start out our Friday right out the gate. Before I dive into some of the setups that I'm watching. Okay, so let's move on. I want to take a look at this cat Swiss. Right, we are getting right, run into past support becoming future resistance, a daily level. So market has a memory, right? We've moved all the way back up to this prior level. We are right, definitely overbought, and we're getting some corrective action this morning. So, right, if you're tracking this pair and you come down to your 1 hour chart, we pushed up, right? We missed that 382 on that initial correction. We hit that 80-20 zone with a huge bullish candlestick, and now we are reversing, right? So if right? You are in that 80-20 to the downside. Congratulations on that, right? Because that is moving down. So we'll see if we get that 382 target or deeper. Let me put that in, right? There's your 382 target on the correction, right? So 382 or deeper. So we'll see if we can continue, right, throughout today to see that continue to push lower to come to that target one. Any questions on the cash Swiss? No? All right, moving on to the CAD yen. Okay. So again, right, we've moved up. Okay. Made that beautiful U-turn. We've moved up. Now we are in the overbought scenario. Okay. And you can see coming into that zone, right? Spot on. We're starting to get price to reject. Right. So we're seeing a correction right now in this CAD yen right at this level that we've had marked up, and we are seeing a decline right now on your 1 hour chart. Okay, so we will continue to watch this right turnover out of that zone. Right, some of you may be short now after taking it up to this resistance level. Okay, so here on the 4 hour, right, that latest move to the downside. Here is that zone 4 hour. That's right at a 61.8. We are overbought, right? And we're starting to turn down now. Okay. So this, we'll take a look at some of the data on the CAD to see how, to see if, right, we'll continue to get a move to the downside, right? But that's picture perfect right up into that zone that we had marked up. Let's look at some CAD data, see what's going on. We know, right, it's impacted by oil, of course. Can't say that enough. We always have to remind ourselves about that. So we can see that the Canadian dollar strengthened past 137 versus the USD. Right? We know the dollar is facing some pressure, reaching a near 1 month high as the US dollar weakens, yearly low, softer than expected inflation figures. Right? So here's what we see. Okay? Meanwhile, Canada's unemployment rate held steady, 6.4% in July, its highest level 2.5 years, indicated in weakening labor market. Net employment fell unexpectedly for a second consecutive month, and labor force participation dropped to its lowest since 1998, excluding pandemic effects. Additionally, the ongoing contraction in manufacturing and sluggish economic growth have increased the likelihood of further easing by the Bank of Canada, limiting support for. Okay. Take a look at the yen. When I see election. So meanwhile, data earlier this week showed that Japan's economy expanded 0.8% quarter over quarter. In the second quarter, reversing from 0.6% contraction in the first quarter and beating expectations 0.5%. On an annual basis, the economy grew 3.1% in Q2, shifting from the 2.3% decline in Q1 and topping forecasts of 2.1%. On a monetary policy front, traders continue to assess when the next Bank of Japan interest rate hike may come as the central bank navigates heightened market volatility, right? So we'll continue to watch that. We'll see, right? If we continue to see declines, we'll take a look at oil too. In the CAD, right? So we know we're topping out on the daily, okay? And we've got a stochastic in the 4-hour in the sell zone. We're right at a 61.8. See if we continue to get downside pressure on that one. So you definitely want to keep your eye on that CAD yen. All right. Oh. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning, Joy. Good morning, Donette. All right. Good morning, Michelle. Hey. Beneath. Okay. And Tyrone. All right. So we are here. So that's the CAD yen. Any questions on this? Oh, nope. All right.
Yes. So,
Yes.
sorry, I've got a question for the CAD yen. Sorry. On the Ichimoku cloud, it's gone above the cloud itself. The cloud's formed its twist, so now it's moving bullish. In the foreseeable future, with that being said, because I'm getting used to reading my fundamentals and understanding them so that I can make better decisions.
Which time frame are you on for your cloud?
Oh, 4 hours.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna put that on first. Okay. So okay. All right. Yep. Now go ahead. Go ahead with your question.
So my question is that in the near term, of course, it's going to have its pullback, and as you've got your Fibonacci there, it's bearish. So does that possibly mean also that there can be more of a pullback for the CAD yen? So that's going to be basically dropping off a bit more.
It could. It could. So this one is going to be interesting to watch. Now, anytime, right, you combine in these, right? So anytime you get a major correction, right? So you see how we're up around 61, right? 0.8 or higher, you're gonna get a break of the cloud.
Yeah.
Right. You're gonna get a break of the cloud because that's like just, hey, I'm just trading a correction to the upside, right? Like we've done. Right. You see here? So we've done that off of this low. So the key is to think, okay, well, I'm higher here, right? So it's hard sometimes to gauge whether, especially when you look at something like the CAD. The CAD is weak. The yen is so back and forth, right? Especially after the intervention, everybody's trying to figure out what's going on, right? So just technically, I'm at a previous level, right? And I'm gonna test that level. My stochastic, right, is overbought. So what this is saying is, hey, the momentum is slowing. Okay. So we'll see, right, if that turns over and breaks back through the cloud and gets bearish again, right? Right now, that cloud is going to show you bullish because it's a major correction, right? to the upside. But fundamentally, this one is a tricky one. Because we kind of that yen strength came as a result of some major fundamental plays, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
everybody's trying to figure out right now, like before there were reports out from JP Morgan, Jay saying, hey, the intervention is only half over for Japan. And then for the Bank of Japan, then it came through that no, we think it's done, right? For now. So there's been a lot of mixed reads on that. So it can make it tough, right? We know that any type of risk off situation, the yen can strengthen, right? But right now we are risk on, right? Which bodes well for your commodity currencies like the CAD. But there's so much negative headwind on the CAD right now, right? That's the issue. Sometimes your data and which way you want to go based because we trade these in pairs, right? So whereas we may be more clear, with maybe a pound CAD, we may not be as clear on something like a CAD yet, right? And what it may want to do. I just so then I really go into the technicals and say, well, I know at least right now this is looking like it's in shape for a move back to the downside. Whether it's going to be a sustainable move where it's going to be a C to D push, um, to where we move all the way to a D extension, right? On this 4 hour back to this lower weekly support. Kind of hard to tell right now because the data is mixed. And this is what this is telling us too, right? Is that we've got a downfit running because price had been trending to the downside. Now we've got this correction, right? And we're above the cloud. Now, if I get that break, right? If I get that break back below this cloud, we're gonna see most likely this bullish cloud is gonna turn bearish, right? So this is the zone that we're in, right? If you're using the cloud, right, you can stay patient because you got this cloud break. So how are you? Let me ask you this: using the cloud, do you enter right off your cloud breaks, or do you wait for a price to pull back, or how do you look to play it?
Yeah. So what I look to do for the cloud is I always tend to wait for the break and then the retest, or if it breaks and then supports, that's when I get in.
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
yeah. Oh, sorry, Karen.
No, 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 no. I'm listening to you. I'm just confirming what you're saying.
Right. Yeah. So with that being said, with the cloud itself, add it on. There we go. So with the cloud itself, I'll go to the 4 hour. What I done was, as you see, has it if you move your cruiser over to the left, or sorry, to the right, yeah, you see
Mhm.
how you've got that part where you've got that long candlestick that's coming off of your trend line.
Right here. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So I entered in on that.
Okay.
If you go to the left to a bit, go to the left one more time. Yeah, that red candle,
Hmm.
and it's got the long tail. I entered onto, if you go three more to the right, one more. That's it. Yeah, that candlestick there.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
one I entered in on from a support point of view. And
Gotcha.
yeah, and I've gone in on the long.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. And so now we're into a resistance, right? So I
Hmm.
guess it becomes a question of how long you want to carry that trade, right? Because that's
Hmm.
a 160 pit move, right? So how are you managing your trade? Are you manually adjusting your stop? How are you how are you handling that? That's a
Yeah.
that's
So with
that's a beautiful that's a now let me tell you this. That's a beautiful entry on that,
oh, thank
right?
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
congrats, right? Drop my man some sevens in the chat. It's a beautiful entry, right? Because there's I like going through this because there's multiple ways to skin a cat, right? and to make money based on how, depending on how you see the market. So that's a 160 pip move. That's no small scalp or anything like that. That's a major move there for 160 pips. So have you adjusted your stop? Have you taken some money off the table? How are you managing this trade? Being that we're into
Yeah,
resistance.
yeah. So due to the levels, I've managed my stop loss, so I put it into take profit.
Okay.
Let me have a look. Yeah. So if it does tend to carry on in the way it does with this pullback now that's happening, then I'll take what's on the table. It will take me out in profit.
Hmm.
So I'm literally mm, 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 oh I'm probably the 15 pips away. So if it does carry on, I'll be in profit. So I will be up
Good.
the 146 pips.
See, see, right? And so I like us being able to have a dialogue, right, in this group and talk about that because so we worked ourselves all the way to this point, and we said, hey, I've moved my stop into profit. So guess what? I don't even really have to worry about what's going to happen next because I'm good, right? And that's what I love about manual stops and moving and stopping the profit because it's just like I'm not even going to try to figure this one out, right? I've gotten it right to this point. Whatever's going to happen next is going to happen next, and we'll make our decision from there because we're overbought on the 4, we're overbought on the daily. We've run into a key resistance zone, right? And then the next thing is, so now if this stops you out, now I'm looking for that next play, right? Do I come back, right? Do I come back and retest this cloud, right? Do I see a low that starts to form there, and then we get to push long? Because at that point, then I can say, okay, the rally's still on, right? We'll look at oil, things like that. When it comes to that point, all things that can impact the CAD and the yen. Are we still in a risk-on environment, right? Which could favor the CAD? Um, which way oil is going and things like that. And at that point, do I make a decision to get back long? If I break below the cloud, well, okay, well that kind of falls in line with what I'm seeing on my higher time frame here. Okay, that kind of falls in line with that, and now I'm watching to see, okay, am I going to get a swing higher for him?
Right.
And if I get that swing higher for him here, then I'm going to go ahead and most likely get short. you know, and most likely get short on this. I'm back in the previous area. We're getting a reaction. We're getting a reaction. Am I going to continue to move down? Right. So here's my high candle now. Is at 108.79, 108.797. And so what I'm going to watch over the next couple of days, right, on this daily this is Friday, Monday, right? Do we continue to close lower than this center candle high? And if so, I'm probably going to look to go ahead and take that short. By that time, you probably will have a cloud break on to the downside. That makes sense?
Perfect sense. Definitely.
Yep, yep, yep. So great job, you know, on uh on making that play, right? And following the rules that you have and reading the candlesticks. I know you guys have been doing a lot on that, right? And that's a 160 pip move. It stops you out. You make 145, 146 pips. That's a great day at the office. Now I could just
Hmm.
wait and see. Now I could just wait and see. If this is just a minor reaction at this level and the market is going to rally strong, especially once we open up, once New York session opens up and it puts in a rally, then guess what? You're just going to keep making money at that point. You're just going to keep making money. It stops is in profit. It rallies to the upside, and you keep making money.
Hmm.
You know, you can't beat that. So kudos to you for managing your trade. because you've done all that work, right? You've done all that work to get to that point. We have to become good managers, right? Good managers. So that's good. I'll take 145, 146 pips, any day of the week. I'm not that greedy to where I'll be mad if I if I lose out from getting 160. I'll take it. So we've got a because right now when you get these pullbacks to these levels, right? We know that when we get high in this zone, it still has a chance of going, right? But we're headed. We still have a down slope in 200 on the floor. Does price want to work his way back to retest that 200? We don't know, right? So there's times where we look at these charts, it's like kind of in that in between stage, not knowing. Because look at your weekly, right? Weekly, you got a bit of a different picture, right? So we'll see. I'm gonna keep my eyes really now that we've gotten a decent correction. I'm really gonna keep my eyes on this daily chart, which is really has really helped me with my patience, and staying true to those swing highs and swing lows when I'm looking to you get involved with an initial setup, right? So this here initial setup that paid off. Even if you took it right from the second candle close, right, you're up into that zone. That's 200 pips. That's 200 pips that we banked right there. Of course, you could get in earlier on the lower time frames, but that's over 200 pips, and you've gotten 160 of those. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah. Uh, Joy, 80/20. Did you say what? Did you what?
What
What? Go ahead.
I had a hard time finding my area in my space with the cloud. So what I started realizing is dropping down to a lower level and see if there's an 80/20. And the reason why I say that because I use it in
Mm,
conjunction with the 50 and the 200. And
hmm
right now, price on that 4 hour just bounced off the 50 and the 200 is just ahead. So because it's bearish, I will continue
hmm
bear and then look down at the one. It's setting up for 80/20.
hmm On the 1 hour
Yeah.
for
So in
for
that,
for. I get what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
So in that dead space, like if my stochastic is like not right at the buy zone, I'm gonna
hmm
take it that there's an 80/20 somewhere. Then I start looking for 80/20s.
I got you. I can dig it. Great job. Great job. I like that. I like that analysis. I really do. I really do. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. We've made, you know, I just ran these off the low on the one because that price reversed. So I want to see what as far as the bids, and so these are those, situations where the daily time frame has really helped me out, in regards to, staying patient and really waiting, for the market to give me a better idea of what's going to happen next, you know. And it's really been paying off ever since I really started to study it in greater detail. Where are we on the? Let's see, where is David? It's got to be on. Maybe, maybe- Oh, I want to see my. There we go, right there, the cat yen. But I wanted to see the score on this, right? So we've been moving bullish, right? After that reversal off the lows. And then I want to see the summary we're looking at here. Is the cat yen? No, look. That's the- let's see. I don't see it. Anybody see that on here? The canyon? Overlook. Let me see. There we go, right there, right? So still, right, a -10, right, in regards to overall for the scorecard when you take into account, right? We read that data on trading economics, right? In regards to um your CLT data, your retail sentiment, seasonality, trending, GDP growth, inflation. We know that the CAD is under pressure economically. So I wanted to see where it was falling at. So it's still very low in regards to the scorecard. So we'll see how it plays out, right? As we've come to that major level. But this will be a good one to watch. A good one to watch to see what happens now that we've come back into this zone. Okay, see if we continue to see sell pressure. I'm just gonna leave this like this. So I continue to watch their reaction out of the zone. Like so. All right. Any other questions on the cat yet? No. All right. So I want to move and take a look at our indices as a result of retail sales data that came out yesterday. And we can see that we continue to move higher, and now we are looking like, right, we are due for a correction here soon. Let's go back up to the daily. Look at the S&P, right? So definitely bullish, right? But we're into that overbought territory. So do we get, right, a correction now and then a continued move up? Do we come back to retest this daily support? Okay. And continue long, right? So when we think about this, based on the retail sales data, based on people feeling kind of good right now in regards to uh, calming down those recession fears as a result of the latest retail sales data and the unemployment numbers for the U.S. We are risk on, so we are looking for, right, a correction, maybe a continued rally, but just know that, hey, we're coming into a key level now of resistance and we may see a pullback. Okay, so if you're holding that for the long term, okay, you're gonna continue to hold it to the upside. If you're looking in your trading technical levels, you may be out right now. Right, that's been a beautiful run to the upside on the S&P. Right, so if you're a long term, holder and buyer of the S&P 500, you may continue to hold and look for low prices to add to your position. Um, if this is at your key technical level now, which we are on the 4, sitting with this daily resistance right at a 80-20, right? So my short-term bias is, hey, it might be, correction time. We may see some relief, still overall bullish, right? But we may see some relief. Okay. Back down. If we continue to see really good data, we know how, right, the S&P can get. We may only see a retest of this daily support level and then a continued rally. Okay. However the future looks, in regards to where it may find that support, okay, we know that the natural 80-20 setup is we want to see it come down to this TP1. Okay. This TP1 level. But we are in that zone. We are at a key daily resistance level. So we're looking for price to start to correct on the S&P. All right. So that's where we are. That's an 80-20 on the 4 on the S&P 500. Let's see what happens. Any questions on the S&P? Nope. Been a pretty good run. So my guess is if things hold true, right, we could go to this NAS 100. And yes, sir. All right. We're sitting in a similar position. Okay. Sitting in a similar position. Pretty much identical. There's your daily high. We've been really strong on the buy side. Do we see a larger correction back down to the 382 on the NASDAQ? Or, are we going to maintain, the positive optimism as a result of the retail sales here in the United States? Okay. And is this just going to be a shorter correction and then a continuation, all right, and break through that resistance? I eventually think that it will push through resistance and continue to rally. It's just a matter of how deep this correction is going to be. Right? So again, this is pretty much like looking, it's a mirror image of what's going on with the S&P. We're at this key level. So over the next couple of days, being that this daily stochastic is overbought, do we form a swing high here? Right? Do we form a swing high and continue to move? But right now, on that 4 hour, right, we've got that 80-20 that's in place. Ebbs and flows of the market, right? You all see the price action patterns. So even if especially when you're trading these indices or like currency pairs that move like the pound, right? It can move quite a bit. Even a move back down to retest the B boundary is a pretty sizable, right? Is a pretty sizable correction. We like to target that 382, but just know, with these indices, larger moving currencies, just to come back and retest, because we know that B boundary is resistance. Okay, that's what that represents. Right? That represents a prior level of resistance that price broke through. Okay, we think about it because that's a swing high, right? That's how you got the B boundary. So we know that that's a prior level. So we automatically know also that this is a potential retest zone right here. Okay. Any questions regarding the NASDAQ? Donette waiting patiently. I like it. Okay. And so you can just see, right, how you can get in the rhythm. Things are in sync. Things are flowing, right? It's similar. Right. Come over, take a look at the US 30. This is on the 4. This got way overextended, right? This was shot past, right? So this one we don't even have a because I don't know once that adjusted from the daily. That's right. Yeah, okay, that's right. So just wanted to make sure. So we don't even have a new 80 boundary on this one yet. because it just keeps putting in highs, but we're still getting that same corrective action. Let's take this up to the daily. So this was a bit overextended. Move up to the daily. Right, so this resistance level is here. Okay. And right, this one is interesting because right, it's trailing behind a bit. We're not, you can see here on the daily, looking at our stochastic, right? We're not beyond that 80% like on the other setups that we saw. Right. So we'll see, you know, if this is just a temporary correction, then we're going to push higher to that level. Ideally, that's what I would like to see, right? Tracking that daily level, we can continue to drive higher. So we'll see. We don't have, right, that official 80-20 on our 4-hour yet, like we're seeing on these other setups. But let me go to the one, right? Like Joyce said, start doing some digging because we may have it setting up here. Yep, shot beyond it. Look at us turn. Look at it turning over. So not quite to that D extension yet. Again, right? This got a bit overextended, but look how that's turning over to come down. Right, and you know, some of us trading on that shorter time frame, right? You may be already, you know, in the money off that correction if you're trading. Just all depends on your style, right? And what time frames that you trade. Right? Those are definitely turning over a bit. That one tapped into that beginning too. Right. So, you know, overall, the trend that we're seeing is what we look corrective, right? We look corrective right now, right? On the Friday, okay? Because we've made a really good run to the upside. We've had that direction, right? Overall, coming off of what? The daily low. Okay? Coming off the daily low. That one looks like it's got some. We'll see how deep this correction is. He says it's gonna make a cup and handle pattern. Yeah, you see that turn over like that, right? All right, so let's see. Down with that, drop you some sevens on that pattern recognition. Beneath, yeah. Until you see that rounded top or that rounded bottom, right, as opposed to that V-shaped type pattern that we see, right? You got the potential for that. I like that. I like that. So let's continue. Let's continue to watch it. Okay, that one's setting up slightly different. Okay, come here and take a look at right the Nikkei, right, and so right, we've pushed pretty good. It's been a really good run. Look at that. Right, just following the daily levels in the stochastic aligning. Okay, it's been a really good run to the upside. double top teacup. Back in the day, Joy. Right, so look, we're seeing it. We're seeing price correct on this Friday. That's all good. Right, D extension was hit. Right, 50% pullback. D extension hit. What do we look like on the one? These have been some really good plays, right? Off the U-turn to the upside. And I'm definitely, look at that, that's a new AB boundary, right? Didn't quite hit the 80-20 zone. We'll see. I wonder if it breaks through this weekly we come through that weekly support, right? We know at least we may be headed down, right? Back to the next level of weekly support, and then maybe that 382. Okay. So if you're right, the other way to look at this is, hey, overall, we're risk on. I'm thinking bullish. So now we've made this good run. So maybe I don't want to play it in the opposite direction on the corrections. Maybe I'm just waiting for a low price to get back long. Right. So going through these charts, right, and doing the work helps get you set up for the next move each and every time. So if the counter trend trade is not your thing, you know, this tells you that, hey, you know, I'm out at these levels, wait for the correction to happen and get back in. If you like Tyrone, hey, I'm adjusting my stop, moving it up. And if price wants to correct now to the downside, right, after I'm in the money, so I'm moving my stop up. And if price wants to correct and take my stop out, that's okay because I've made money. I'm in profit. Okay. Once you the hard part is over right now, right? You're up. Now it's just, hey, let's manage that trade. Make sure, right, that I'm not giving it all back. Okay. And then we look for the next move. We look for the next move. Any questions on this setup? Keep in mind that we do today have U.S. Consumer University of Michigan consumer data coming out. Right, that could further support a rally. Right, that could further support a rally. I mean, that was really good news, right? Yesterday for the retail sales, unemployment numbers, especially coming off of all those concerns regarding a recession. So the market can, the buyers can be put in positions for a little while longer off of that, right? Before we see a major correction. So these times are always kind of uncertain in regards to how deep that correction may be, especially when it comes to these indices. So let's see what happens with consumer sentiment this morning as well. We look at, right, the UK 100, and you can see, look, we've made quite a run, right? Everything's right. We're starting to get a bit corrective, right? Market needs to breathe a little bit. Some profit taking, yeah, profit taking, right? So we move down to the levels, we can see where we are in regards to the sequence. Overextended. That should be a new fib now. It'll catch up. And let's move down to the 1. Right, that's just turning over there. So correct. So you can correct. So I can get right this morning, or in the wee hours of the morning, I guess. Well, depending on the time zone that you're in, right? You know, you could be in the money big time just from hitting the sell button at these highs, right? Because I mean, we've been through a good amount of pairs right now in regards to these, indices, and we see that they're all correcting, you know, this morning. So we take a look at the let's look at the Russell, right? It's lagging behind. It's still making its move, right? It's still trying to make its move, right? We're moving up. We're moving, right? We're over 80% now. Right, but this one is not moving as fast, right, to the upside, but is moving to the upside, and it's still pushing, right? So this one may have some room to go. Okay. So we look like on the 4, new AB boundary. Okay. So that can give us an opportunity if you haven't been involved with this setup. We get a correction to a low price and a continuation. So that's your one. Okay, so let's see what happens. Do we push to an 80-20 zone, or does the, you know, uh, momentum move us, to a lower price to potentially get long on this, eventually? Any questions on that, on the Russell? No. All right. We're looking good, right? Moving in the right direction, right? We see here, still pushing. Okay. Long. Okay. German 40, pushing long. Okay. So we're gonna look for corrections, right? This one here is quite interesting on the daily, right? Do we eventually see this correction here and then a continuation, right? But we're pushing. Look at that move. It's spot on, right? We don't see a high. Okay. We don't see a high. So if you're in this and you're trading this to the upside, and that's one of those ones where you say, you know what? Secure the bag, move my stop, right? I'm moving that stop up now and just letting it run. However you want to play it. Maybe you drop down to a 1 hour, 4 hour and find a low, right? A recent low to try to figure out where to adjust that stop. If you run it tight, maybe I'm below this low. If I get below there and it takes me out, right? I'm good. I've made money all the way up until this point. You see? So that kind of alleviates a lot of stress, takes a lot of guesswork out of it by just adjusting your stop. Take some money off the table, adjust your stop, see how far it wants to run. Any question on this? No? All right. I'm taking a look at the semiconductor ETF SMH. It is continuing to explode to the upside. This one was a good one, right? We put in that low. It is continuing to move to the upside. I was shifting and moving, recategorizing everything. I never, right, got back to marking this one, right? But we can see how it is pushing higher. So super easy, right? To mark your support and resistance levels. To our weekly. Look at that. Beautiful price action. SMH, just that. So we come down to the daily. Like, wow, right? So here's that low that we saw before. Bang, bang. That's where we are. Look at this, everybody. Right? This is what we spotted. What kind of drew my eyes to this? Clean double bottom. Right? Beautiful V-shaped move. Back up to resistance. Back up to resistance. What's that, right? So if we want to bring it down, right? Find the wave. That's your 4 hour extension hit. Take it down to the 1. Isn't that amazing, right? Doesn't this look like, you know, the S&P and the NASDAQ? Right? Look at that. And I look, is that the third one? Okay. Finding the patterns. All right. So that's SMH. Okay. Any questions on this? All right. We will go
That
or
looks
wrap
like
it.
a head and
Mhm.
shoulder about to form there.
Uh-oh. Hold on, let me go
SMH.
back.
On
On
SMH.
SMH. My,
You have it in your ETFs, I think.
yeah. No, I had that in the with my indices. I had put that on the indices. There we go.
The pullback would be the right shoulder.
Yep. Yep. I see it. Right. Pull back and then the move back up, right? So we'll see what level it wants to hold at if we get that correction. Right. So you're looking right, because we're coming. All right. Back down to that level. Right. Straight through. So all right. See how it plays out. See how it plays out. Great job on that, right? Just some sevens in the chat. We got folks reading candlesticks and finding patterns and guys are pros. Pros. Not messing around. So that's SMH. We'll take a look at I'm going to take a look. Oh, I wanted to look at gold before we wrap things up for the day. But our ETFs definitely put in a rally yesterday, right? After that retail sales data, you can see that pretty much across the board. Right? We got it ranging a bit here in utilities, but for the most part, it's moving straight up. Right? It's continuing to move. Let's take a look at gold. Right? So we are right correcting. But overall, right, still bullish overall. So we'll see how far that correction wants to go. That's XAG, I'm sorry. XAU. Right here. Keep forgetting that I'm operating within the same workspace. So here, let me right, still pushing higher on gold, right? So kind of bullish to neutral yesterday, pushing higher now, pre-market. Let's take this down to the lower time frames to see. Right? So we're holding above that weekly support. It's kind of creeping along. I don't know if we'll get much out of it today. right? So we'll see. Continue to watch that. But overall, my play for the year coming into 2024 was just staying long, right? Looking for play opportunities to stay long. So I am going to hold to that, okay? Especially with more rate cuts looming, including from the Fed. So, you know, not doing a whole lot right now, but overall, I'm still bullish on gold. Quick look at oil, and then we will wrap things up. So here's oil on the 4, moving back down. Okay, that's now made a lower low, so we have to adjust that trend line. Okay. So man, we got a good push and a fake out yesterday, and now we're declining lower. So we'll see if that stays within that AB boundary. And that was a good move to the upside yesterday off of that. But then look how we directed it back down. So let me see what's going on. Crude, 78 a barrel, set for a second consecutive week rise. Positive U.S. economic data boosted confidence in the economy. Providing evidence. Remain strong. This follows released CPI data. Markets also continue to monitor potential oil supply risk amid Middle East conflict, with attention to focus on the outcome of Gaza ceasefire negotiations, which are proceeding without loss in attendance. Lingering demand concerns remain after China's recent data offered little clarity on the country's economic trajectory and future outlook on oil demand. That might be impacting it, but I'll have to read more about it because this is going on right now. This move to the downside. So have to look it up, look at Bloomberg, look at some other things to try to see exactly what else may be impacting oil besides China. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. We'll see. We'll see on that. If anybody has any news or finds any news on that, please post it in the community and let me know. Any questions on anything that we covered today?
No questions.
All right. So we are all good. Tyrone, great job on that setup. 160 pips. Your stop and profit. That's pretty good, my man. It's pretty good. So everybody, enjoy the rest of your day. We'll be right back here 7 a.m. tomorrow morning for the Forex Weekly Ritual. Getting prepared for another awesome week. The show goes on. We're moving through August. It'll be September before we know it. Have a great day, everybody. See you tomorrow morning.